Good morning, everybody. I am blessed to get to spend some time with Sara Mulero, and she is a complete transformation story. She's going to tell her story today. She has lost over 300 pounds. She's now been maintaining for over a year, and she found Ideal Protein after years and years and years of having a difficult time trying to figure out why she couldn't lose weight. So it's an awesome story, and if you are watching us live, please share this post right away so that others can also enjoy this broadcast. And if you're watching in the replay, please send us your likes, your hearts. Tell us where you're from. So let us know where you're from. Let us know any questions that you have for Sara. If you feel the same things, let us know how you are experiencing things. Maybe she has some great advice for you, and we can address questions as we go. So just tell us where you're from, say hi. And we already got a couple people logged on here. Kelly Hargis says, woohoo, Sara. And Stacy Wolf says, amazing. Kelly Hargis says, proud of you. So thanks for logging in, you guys. Hey, share this with everybody so that we can really tell the world about Sara's story. So Sara, just give us the background on how you grew up, where you got to, and how you found Ideal Protein.
Well, first and foremost, thanks for having me. It's a great pleasure to get to spend this time with you guys and share my story. I was your typical kid. I was born a little bit bigger than most kids. I was 10 pounds when I was born. And I grew up on a farm in mid-Missouri, did all your normal activities a kid would do whenever you're on a farm, from taking care of cattle to whatever not. I had a very active lifestyle as a child, but it didn't matter. I always gained weight. I weighed 110 pounds by the time I was in third grade. I was always the biggest kid in my class, no matter how old I was. And then sadly, as I got older, the weight got more and more, right? And I tried every diet. I think the first time I ever dieted, I tried something very popular that you can get in your local store. And I think I was 14. My mom was on that 90s kick of the Slim Fast. We all know that one. And I lost a little weight there, the baby fat, as my mom called it, but couldn't maintain it. By the time I was 17, I had gained 80 pounds more, which put me very close to the 300 mark. I was like 260 pounds. My mom put me on a diet pill prescribed by a doctor. I lost 70 pounds in about 3 months. I looked absolutely horrible. I looked emaciated because I didn't know at that point, but I had lost a very valuable thing that we'll talk about a little bit later. After that, I went to college, and there I went way over 300 pounds. By my senior year of college, I weighed 400 pounds. And then I tried an experimental protein diet that the doctor even lost his license. And I lost 150 pounds there. Yes, it was a very intense thing. I lost 150 pounds, but 3 months later, I gained 20 pounds, 30 pounds, 40 pounds. And before I knew it, I was 28 years old and I weighed 460 pounds. And you don't really think about how hard it is on your body because you've learned to deal with it, and you try to blend in with society because you don't want to be the person that gets picked on. We went to a fertility doctor because my husband and I have been trying to have a baby for several years. And the doctor just bluntly said to me, look, you're too big to conceive. I won't take you as a patient unless you lose at least 150 pounds. And he gave me two options. He gave me the option of gastric bypass or Ideal Protein. And he said, quite frankly, I don't care which one you pick, but you got to get this weight off. Personally, I knew that weight loss surgery was not for me because I felt like if I ate my way here, in my mind, we're always at fault, that I could eat my way out of it. But what I found out when I went to my first educational seminar for Ideal Protein to get my first taste of what it was going to be like, was that the reason why I had gained so much weight is because for most of my adult life, from the time I turned 18 until present day, I only ate one meal a day. And so my body was always physiologically working against me because I was starving myself. And so everything I ate was being stored as fat. And I had no idea at all, ever, until that was brought to my attention. I started kind of at a crazy time to start something. I started 2 weeks before Christmas in 2012, and I never looked back. I lost about 130 pounds in 6 months. We went to Puerto Rico to see my husband's family for the first time, and his family was completely aghast of my change. And my husband had not started with me. My husband was also overweight, I should say. Well, who do you think may have joined me in my journey when I got back from Puerto Rico? My husband decided to join in. After about a year and 8 months, I lost 220 pounds. We tried to do some fertility treatments, but we learned out the real reason why I couldn't have a baby, and it didn't have to do with my weight. It had to do with the way that my body was made, not anything complicating to my weight. Would I change my journey? Absolutely not. But it's nice to be able to get properly diagnosed because they could actually see past what the barrier was. My husband and I moved from where we were at to a whole different state, started over again for his job, and I tried to find a clinic that worked for me in the area. I had a not so great experience with a coach, and I decided that I was going to call out a protein corporate and voice my concerns. And when I did, I met my now boss. And she said, "You were really fired up. I like your attitude. I love your spunk. I think you want to help people." And so I started working as a coach, and I thought I have about 100 pounds left that I could physically lose because I was at about 220 pounds. And so I put my husband back on protocol with me, and we started. I had a group of 8 little patients that grew into a huge clinic that I work at today. And we really worked together on all of us to lose my last 100 pounds. And to date, I've lost 325 pounds. I've been in maintenance for almost a year and a half. My husband has also lost 200 pounds. So it was really a lifestyle change for my whole family.
Yeah, that's, you know what? Oh, wow. What a fantastic story. So, just, you know, I think in my clinic, I have a variety of gals that come in and experience the reason that they're dieting is because they have PCOS, and a doctor has definitely said, you know, look, you got to do something about your weight. It's so good to know that we have a program that will actually help with that. So before we go on with Sara, I just wanted to say hello to a couple of people. Let's see. Kelly says she is Sara's patient in Dallas, which is awesome. And
Yes.
Hillary says, hi, Hillary from Dundas, Ontario. Thanks, Hillary, for joining us. Stacy Wolf is from outside of Chicago. And Kelly says that you kick butt. So wow. So she's a good coach. So you know what? Don't be upset when your coach. We say everything out of love and from the bottom of our heart, because we want you to be super successful on your plan. So if you're out there, you're watching us live, would you please share this broadcast? Send Sara all your hearts, and you know, this is such a great transformation story. I feel privileged to get to share this with you. All right, so Sara, what were, you know, as you transitioned into this whole new lifestyle, tell us the things that you ate in phase 1. How did you make that change? Because it goes from, you know, some of my clients try to live in a box and just get it done, and they don't get the part where this is a lifestyle change. It's not a diet. And so what are some of the things that you ate and enjoyed and have incorporated into, you know, today, into keeping your weight off?
Well, I'm not going to lie to you. I was that patient at one point that everything on the sheet, I said, I don't like this. I don't eat this. Da 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 da. You've heard it all, right? Just like we've all done, and my patients are no different. And I put myself in what I fondly call broccoli cauliflower prison with grilled chicken. But you have to think it's not sustainable. And it really isn't. Because are you going to eat broccoli and cauliflower and grilled chicken the rest of your life? Absolutely not. I then decided, you know what? If this is going to be a lasting change, I need to take my old and what I call family favorites and make them as close to what they taste like for phase one as I possibly can. And it became a new challenge for me that I would take an old German recipe or Chinese takeout and try to make it as similar as possible to the real deal versus and make it all completely phase one compliant. And you can do that. You just have to be very interested in trying brand new things that you may have never have eaten ever in your life. I'll tell you right now, celery root is a god-awful, ugly plant, but it is the best vegetable that I have ever found since doing Ido Protein. It tastes like a potato. It roasts. You can mash it. You can do French fries in the air fryer, for God's sakes. I mean, it is phenomenal. I personally challenged myself when I became a coach to try every vegetable on our list. And wouldn't you know, I liked them all. So my thing, and Kelly can attest to this since she's my patient from Dallas, I encourage them each week to try something brand new and to try a brand new recipe. And we do cooking classes in Dallas, and we have a lot of fun with it.
Oh, that's awesome. Go ahead.
I do a lot of phase one vegetables, even in phase four, because phase one vegetables, you can kind of think of them as freebies. So anything on our phase one list as a vegetable in phase four doesn't cause you to have any kind of an insulin spike. So they're not something that makes you store. So I like celery root. I can have a lot of celery root, and it's one of those things that you can use almost as a filler. So they're really a good arsenal that we've prepared ourselves with.
So what are the habits that you completely changed once you moved into phase one? What are the old things that you did that you got rid of, and how did you make habit changes? Because it takes time to change habits.
Well, I think first and foremost, as Americans and even, North Americans, we're addicted to sugar. So cutting out all the sugar out of my system as far as like candy and all the junk food that we grow up on, it really took the taste of it away from me. And I even tried when I got into maintenance. I used to love Reese's peanut butter cups. And I tried one when I got into maintenance, and it was actually the most disgusting thing I'd ever tasted. So I don't eat candy anymore. That is probably one of the biggest things that changed. Another habit I picked up while doing pure meals. And it's really easy, especially for women, when you're in phase four or maintenance, that somebody else's problems are more important than yours. So you'll skip a meal to accommodate their needs. That's how we are as women. We give all of us, but we don't care about ourselves. And the one thing that I learned the most, that you can't really teach everybody, but you have to teach yourself this, is you have to have self-respect for yourself. If you don't love yourself, it's never going to work for you. You have to love yourself. And that was the one thing that I think changed for me going through phase one, is I found the ability to love myself and to treat myself with respect. And by what I mean by that is actually fueling my body for the daily needs that I need. So if I'm going to have a busy day, I might have an Ideal Complete that morning, but I don't skip my breakfast. I always have something. And I learned another healthy habit that I would never take away from myself is meal prep. Planning for the entire week and prepping things out. I personally am a little crazy. I do it for 7 days in advance. But if you work 10 or 12 hours in a day, what's the last thing you want to do when you get home? Cook. You're going to skip a meal, or you're going to go out and eat something bad that you shouldn't be having. And so for me personally, meal prep has been phenomenal. I wouldn't change it. I spend one Sunday cooking for 2 hours, and I've knocked out everything for the week.
So what do you
And of course, exercise being. I meal prep everything, honestly. I typically, because I think like most of us ladies, I don't give myself much time in the morning besides to get up, do my hair and makeup and roll out the car, right? So I will do usually a shake in the morning because it's something light and easy. For lunch, I meal prep. I will do my vegetables. I'll do some fats because we like fats and maintenance, and some protein. And then supper, I'll make for me and my husband, and I'll do my complex carbohydrate, and I'll do my proteins and I call them free veggies because they're phase 1 veggies. And you have a nice big plate and it's already made up. So that's the things I meal prep. Even in phase 1, I meal prepped. I would make, I particularly like the mac and cheese a lot, made into a casserole. And I would do all 7 packages that come in the box on Sunday and mix my veggies in there. It could be bell peppers, it could be broccoli, it could be any of those. And they refrigerate, and then you can just microwave and go.
That is such a great idea. I've never even thought about that.
It works very well.
You were going to talk about the exercise piece. Tell us about that.
You know, you don't have to be crazy and go join like P90X or, you know, some crazy boot camp, but just getting out and being active. I mean, if you like yoga, doing yoga a couple of times a week, or even just walking your dog, go for a longer walk. Your dog will love you for it. You know, just getting out and being active. A lot of people think when you say exercise, they're thinking, oh my God, I got to join a gym. I got to do this. I got to do that. It's not really about that. You have to think about, was I walking a mile before? No. Or, you know, was I trying to get involved? And always challenge yourself to do something different. I recently started yoga because I'd never done it before, just to see how it would be. And it's super fun. You know, it's just one of those things. Get out of your comfort zone. Nothing ever comes great from being comfortable.
That's right. That's true. So Candy has a question here, and she says, how did you decide what was the correct weight for you to go to phase 2?
Well, Candy, me and my coach discussed that by body fat percentage, not so much weight. I knew that for me, I started out at 72% body fat, that I needed to get down below at least 28 to be considered healthy, because you have something called visceral fat, which is the bad fat that's not easily lost in the midsection around the organs. And we know with ideal protein standards, if we can get down to somewhere for a woman 20 to 26%, we're in a much better range of body fat for who we are. So I don't typically associate that with a number, because one thing you don't want to be is married to a number on a scale. You're much more than a number on a scale as a person. It's more about your body fat percentage, because your body fat really dictates how your body functions.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So Sarah says here, let's see, I am amazed that you talked to corporate. I started 1 year ago, January, and lost 50 pounds. I was 10 pounds away from goal, and my coach was all about how much I could buy and talked all about himself. Needless to say, I stopped. I have now gained 12 pounds back. Now I'm 22 pounds away from my goal and don't know what to do. It seems I tried to go to another coach and they just bash. What can I do to get support and get back to this and make this my lifestyle? You look incredible, and I'd love to do how you did it. Help.
Well, Stacy, you know, one thing you can do is, there's no shame in going to a clinic and just interviewing the coach. It's just like when you meet somebody for the first time on the street, you're going to know whether you guys click or not. And it's not a bad thing if everybody's personalities don't mesh. I would go, you know, there's several clinics, especially in the Chicago area where you said you're from. Go and interview the coaches. There's no shame in that. You have to be comfortable with your coach because it's a very intimate process. And if you're not comfortable, then say, I'm sorry, I just can't work with you. I need to find somebody who's more in tune with my goals. And that's honestly a very similar situation to what I experienced. And why I called corporate, I felt like they needed to know what was happening at the ground level. I now work with corporate, so I should disclose that. But it's more common than what you think, and you'll be happy to know that iDoProtein is working towards making it a very even playing ground where all the coaches are getting the same education and the same expectations of what they're supposed to be doing. Because let's face it, not every coach is a stellar coach. We hope to everybody grows to a stellar coach, but you don't always get that. But there is hope for you. I would just say go out and interview people, just as if you were going to interview them for a job. You're hiring a trainer, so you get to do the interview process.
Oh, I really like that advice. You know, one of the things in our clinic, there's 3 of us, and it's been interesting because I'm the person that started the business. I'm the main coach, but I have my coach Judy and coach Laura, and what I find is that sometimes I'm a little too direct for people. They don't want that. They want someone to commiserate a little more with them, and I have no judgment. I am here to support you, but I'm kind of like a no excuses coach, whereas Coach Judy will be like, oh, you know, I'm so sorry, and well, maybe we should try this. And I'll be just like, okay, here's the deal. Let's look at your food diary. All right, let's change this. Let's do this. Let's do that. And some people absolutely, like, they will only see me. And then other people I find, you know, after a couple of weeks, they've switched to Coach Judy, and I'm fine with that. And the coaches they don't care, you know, and nobody's going to get their feelings hurt. Their style doesn't work for you. And I totally agree with Sara. Go out there. This is all about you. So don't let a coach stop you from losing your last 22 pounds, because, by the way, it's 2 months away. It's only like, if you get to someplace, literally, you know, you start on the 1st of March, you're done at the end of April. Boom, boom. So don't let that get in your way. Don't spend the next summer with your 22 pounds on. So those are all great questions. So Sara, as a coach and as you have gone through your own process of transformation, how did you change what's happening up here? Because, you know, we know that anybody can lose weight. It's whether they can maintain that weight. And a lot of it is what our mind is telling us. It's what we see in the mirror looking back at us, and also just not changing who we see in the mirror. We're still seeing that fat girl. So how did you transform and move through your own self-talk to become, you know, someone that respects and loves yourself?
So first and foremost, I read Dr. Tran's book, which really speaks to the psychological aspect of what, especially women, how we view ourselves, how we're never good enough. We're always living up to someone else's expectations. The joke in my house was I became the selfie queen when I made it to my goal, because I, like you said, would see a 250-pound version of Sara in the mirror, not the 140-pound Sara. And so my husband said, take pictures. That's the only way you ever see what you look like. And you're always surprised. I don't understand why you can't see this. So I would take selfies, and then I made a collage of them and hung them in my bathroom, so that every morning when I got up, the first thing that I seen, aside from me in the mirror, was the real me in the mirror, but it was the pictures. And I mean, I still struggle with the aspect of seeing myself in the mirror, which I think is just a natural woman's type of situation. But it never hurts to be the selfie queen. I mean, have no shame. Admire yourself. You've earned it, right? And I still will take pictures and think, I can't even see that person in the mirror. It's crazy. Even doing this interview with you, seeing myself in the camera, it's like, I can't believe I'm actually look like that. You know, it's just one of those things. But really, one thing that I did that I always ask my patients to do is start a jar from when you start, and it could be from now, and write down all the little things that we take for granted as we go through phases 1, 2, and 3 of how your life changed. Maybe it was you didn't huff and puff going up the stairs to your top floor of your house. or maybe you were able to do a hike on a trail that you've always wanted to do, or simply you fit into a size of clothes you never fit into before. But we tend to get caught up in the negativity in our life because it's so much easier to go there. And when I had some of my crappiest days, I would dump out that jar of all the hope I said that I stored, and I would open them and look at them. And I would be like, man, I have come so far. Why am I being so negative? And I put them all back in there, and I get my little piece of inspiration and go on. I even have on my cell phone, says something like to the effect of, let's make amazing happen today. Little positive affirmations, because if you surround yourself with negativity, where do you think you're going to go? You're going to live in negativity. You got to get positive.
That's right. Those are such great words. And do you still have your jar? Do you have a picture of it?
Oh, I have my jar. I have a picture of it. It's on my iPad, so I don't have it with me. But I have it. I think I don't remember what I called it. I think I called it the kudos jar. And I did scrapbooking, like little things on it, and made it cute. It's just a mason jar. It's super simple, but it was just the act of being able to dump it out and to reread it. And I have stuff from 2012 in there. You know, it's always important to know where you started from, because it's really easy to forget where you started from.
Yeah, it's key to know the why of what you do, and it doesn't matter if you're losing 20 pounds or 300 pounds. We have to know what our why is. And you know, I always let people know I've been 200 pounds 3 times in my life. I've had to lose 65 pounds 3 times in my life, and certainly it's not, you know, we relate to different things. So someone can relate to 65 pounds and someone else can relate to what you've been through in losing, you know, 150 and 200 pounds. I mean, it's just tremendous. But it's the thing is really, once you get on the journey, it's just changing your whole lifestyle to, it's not dieting. It's just, it's changing the way you eat, and you're eating to fuel your body properly. Do you have some comments on how you were able to move from that dieting to lifestyle process?
Well, the first thing, and if Kelly's still watching, she'll be able to attest to this, I despise the word diet because the first 3 letters of that word say die. And we're actively trying to stay alive longer. So I immediately will say, when I first meet somebody, if you're here to diet, we're not in this together, because I'm here to change your life, and we're going to make a lifestyle change. And every aspect that we learn along the way is just a new pebble on our stepping stones. And one thing that I wanted to touch on was, a lot of times, and we grow up this way, we grow up associating food with emotion. And it's really important to remind yourself daily, maybe even hourly for some, food doesn't make me happy. I make myself happy. I have control of what's going on around me. My food is just a fuel to get me from point A to point B. It has no bearing on how I feel emotionally. And a lot of people get that tie. And I mean, it's like birthday cake. We were taught from the day we entered this universe that we had to have a piece of cake on our birthday. What happens if we don't have cake? Do we die? No. We live another day and we keep on moving, right? And so it's those things that even as children we were taught are what's supposed to happen with your emotions to what's going on around you. But it's not necessarily that way. You don't have to be emotionally tied to food. Sure, your food should taste good, season it well, but you don't have to be happy associated with food.
That's right. Wow. All good words here. So tell us, in maintenance, how do you traverse indulgences? What kind of indulgences do you make? How do you balance your indulgences? I think that's one of the biggest questions I get from my maintenance clients.
I am going to steal a great piece of advice that a patient told me once, and it really kind of clicked. She said, I taste something, and if it's not a 10 out of 10, why am I going to eat the rest of it? And I thought, oh my God, that is perfect. And so when it's not a 10 out of 10, is it really worth an indulgence day? No. If I want to go out, maybe have some adult beverages, maybe have a piece of dessert, have something strange I wouldn't normally eat, then sure, the next day I just do phase one. And you can do phase one with or without the packets. I personally just like the ease of the packets, and they taste good. So I just like having them in my house, even as snacks while I'm in phase four. But that key to keeping yourself balanced is the day you have an indulgence, the very next day you do a phase one day. And if you don't do that phase one day, you just set yourself up for failure to produce fat cells. And that's what we avidly are trying to avoid. But the biggest thing in phase four is that you have to know if you gain 5 pounds, you're not a failure, okay? Your body was designed to gain weight, especially women. We bring life onto earth. So your body was designed to gain weight. Should you gain 20 pounds in a year? No, you're probably not following maintenance the way you should be. But 5 to 7 pounds? Sure. And when do you think we gain those 5 to 7 pounds? Oh, probably the last 3 months of the year, because those 3 months of the year, you can't be as strict in your eating regimen as you normally are because you're going out to holiday parties and people randomly show up at your house to exchange gifts or invite you out to an indulgent dinner. So you know what? It's totally normal to have to do a reboot at the beginning of the year, sometimes in the middle of the year, depending on what you like. I personally do 2 reboots a year, whether I've gained weight or not, just because a good reset of your body is all we're trying to attain, not necessarily weight loss. I mean, we all know that in phase one, weight loss happens, but we're trying to better reset how our body functions in a reboot versus actual weight loss. But it's very important, and I see this, and I'm sure you do, Renee, and that your patients feel like a failure when they gain 10 pounds back. But you're not a failure. It's normal for your body for you to gain. Now, do you let 10 pounds turn into 20? No, we should arrest it before that happens, because once you let that pendulum go, it's a slippery slope the other direction.
Yeah, absolutely. So I do a reset right around, I'm actually in reset mode right now. I usually do it right after Super Bowl because I like to go to a Super Bowl party. And then the rest of the month of, like, I don't really care about Valentine's, but the rest of the month of February and into early March, I take some time off from alcohol, and I stay away from sugar, because that's a huge trigger for me. I just take a break. And as Sara was talking about, just resetting. I also do the same thing right after Labor Day. I take 2 or 3 weeks where I reset from the summer. I get to go on a fabulous vacation every year, and I enjoy myself, but I do not overindulge. I don't get off a vacation 10 pounds heavier. I might gain 3 pounds, and it's probably just water from my 9-hour airplane ride. But I hike every day. I have a glass of wine every day. I stay away from sugar, like I said. I eat grilled vegetables and fresh meats, and enjoy the heck out of myself. And like Sara said, you don't have to have a dessert every day. If it's not a 10 out of 10, forget about it. So that's great advice. So tell me, what are your triggers and how do you keep them from coming back? Because we all have them.
Hands down, my triggers are bread and potatoes. I am German through and through, from the Midwest, and anyone in that area knows we're brought up on meat, potatoes, and bread. So personally, I only let myself have potatoes and bread on indulgence days. Because I know that if I do it on a weekly basis, that bread loaf in the refrigerator on the countertop speaks to me, right? And 1 piece will turn into 2 pieces, and I know myself for that. Same way with potatoes. I could have 1 serving, but I know that there's still another serving in the pot. So when I have a little bit of a bite. So personally, I mitigate that way with just treating them as pure indulgences. Really, alcohol and candy are not really an issue for me anymore. If you would have met me 4 years ago, I would have said those would have been a problem. But really, the training up through phase one of getting my cells emptied of all that extra stuff, it really took the taste of all that away from me. But honestly, bread and potatoes are my downfall, and I know that. So I eat a lot of turnips because they're very potato-like. and a lot of celery root because it's also very potato-like. I get the same consistency that I'm looking for and taste, just not all of the guilt that goes along with it that I cause myself because I know I will overdo it on those foods.
So what's your favorite celery root?
Oh my gosh, air fried French fries. Those are literally the best. You can have a whole celery root, and if you're in phase 1, it's like a cup and a half. So you could even do like even put some other veggies in there with it to air fry. I tell you, if y'all don't have an air fryer, I love that thing. I use it for meat, vegetables, you name it. I've even made my mug cake in the air fryer. So I love that. I also did it roasted, like with some in phase 4 with like some nice autumn squashes. And it's very, very nice with those.
Awesome. Okay, so let's answer a couple of questions that we have going on here. Hillary says, after losing all that weight, was excess skin an issue? You are young and don't have a line on your face, but as a 63-year-old woman that would like to lose 80 pounds, I'm scared everything is going to hang and my face will crinkle.
Well, Hillary, I think the camera is hiding some of the wrinkles on my face, or the crinkles even. So the big takeaway, and I'm going to talk about isoprotein, and I'm going to tell you about me personally. So with isoprotein as a patient, you're not going to have a lot of excess skin because you're only losing fat and your skin will retract. And the great thing about isoprotein is it's not age discriminatory, sex discriminatory, race discriminatory. Your body works one way. And especially if you do a lot of the collagen-based products like the chicken noodle soup, the blueberry cranberry, the new lemon matcha, the raspberry gelatin, your skin will recess and it'll actually get nice and tight, even up to 6 to 7 months into maintenance. Me personally, because I had lost so much muscle mass and all the fad dieting that I had done, I had a lot of excess skin. And I actually went through surgery in September and I had 20 pounds of skin removed. I went from, just to give you an idea of how much 20 pounds of skin is, and it was all central because my stomach was very big. It was from a size 14 to a size 6. So it kind of gives you an idea, especially for the ladies, of how much skin it was. And it was really just, I didn't do it because of vanity. I did it more because of hygiene purposes. It was making it an extra hour in me getting ready in the morning of, you know, having it cleaned and putting powder so I wouldn't get sores and those types of things. I mean, I loved who I was regardless of surgery. But I will tell you, it makes me able to work out better that I had it removed. And obviously there's vanity in there. I'm not going to lie. I like the way I look better with it, but without it, but it's not like it defined who I was. But overall, you're not going to lose skin because of the weight loss. Even though it's fast, it is a slow, healthy weight loss, and your skin's able to retract. So don't have any fear or any concern about looking emaciated or crinkly or wrinkly. I once had a patient that was 74 and she lost 50 pounds and her skin tightened up and she actually looked 20 years younger. People thought she was in her 50s and she just loved it.
Absolutely. So when you took the collagen products, did you take them every other day? Did you take them daily? How did you do that? And do you still take them?
So I love the collagen products. I see my favorite Canadian pharmacist is on the call. I used one of her jelly recipes of how to make the little gummy bears. I like to do it, the raspberry gelatin. I take 3 packets because I do them 3 times a week. And I will divide them up into 7 tiny containers. And then I just have a little bit every day. If that's too much for you, I would do the, 3 times a week or every other day. I still do them. I love them because I see the benefit in how radiant my skin looks. So I'll always do some kind of a collagen protein. The raspberry jello is my personal favorite.
You know what? That is my favorite too. I love
Yes.
to I'll drink it warm. I don't necessarily put it in the fridge and make jello out of it, but I like it as a warm tea in the evening. And I also I'm 56 and I'm just going to be transparent. I have had a little work done, but I have great skin, and to keep your skin great, I mean my skin on my arms is not looking the way I would wish it would, but it is what it is. And honestly, if you have 80 pounds to lose, there's a lot more to worry about health-wise than what your skin is going to look like. And you know, that's a super important thought there. Melissa, yes, is here. She was a little late. She says, great job on keeping up, keeping the grains, the GPS is low, grains, potatoes, sugars during the week. Those are my triggers too. Air manufacturers should give Sarah a discount. Oh, I wish they'd give her a discount too. I'd buy one because you know, everyone needs an air fryer, right? So what are your biggest tips for someone that has 50, 100, 200 pounds to lose? What would you, you know, give them as advice?
First and foremost, don't let everybody that has negative things to say to you detract you. My favorite thing to say is haters are motivators. While I was here visiting for a conference, I got to go back to a place where I worked, and I hadn't seen them in 4 years. And so they had seen me lose 200 pounds, and then I moved away. And when I walked in yesterday, no one knew who I was. And they were some of the biggest haters I had in my life. And would you know, 2 of the girls actually went and started Ido Protein yesterday right after work because they saw it was sustainable. I have always said haters are motivators. Always take something negative and turn it into a positive, because everybody out there has an opinion. Does it really apply to you? Absolutely not. That's the one thing to think. If you have 80 to 100 pounds to lose, don't look at it as you're going to a food prison, okay? Look at it as I'm going to a food mecca of things that I know will help me change who I am in more than one aspect. And just know that phase 1 is the greatest tool anyone will ever teach you, and always keep it in your toolbox. Never get rid of it. It's the most amazing thing. My biggest advice for people that are going to be losing that much weight, food prep, food prep, food prep. If you don't plan, you're only setting yourself up for failure. It's always, you know, we always plan for a bright future, but if we fail to plan, we're setting ourselves up for demise. So just always food prep and never let that habit go away. Also, something else that I want to touch on is journaling. Journaling is so important. It's not so much important as to the coach. It is, because we can't be with you 24 hours a day, nor would you guys want us to be with you 24 hours a day. It's more about registering what you're eating, because if you have to write it, you're not going to eat it because you know I'm going to see it. And the same thing in phase 4. You have to journal in phase 4. I paper journal. I know we have an app and it's fantastic, but I'm that old school mentality. If I write it, it actually happened. And that is the biggest takeaway. I will even use mine as a food planner for the week and write down what I anticipate to eat because I'm cooking that. But we know life happens. Sometimes we have something else come up and I just cross that out and change my numbers and go on about my day. But I always make sure to food plan and to food prep. That would be the most important thing. And then journaling is key. If you don't journal, it's like it never happened. And we can always see that we might have a little bite of something else that we shouldn't have, but we didn't journal. So we don't have to be accountable for that. But it's very important that you journal, for sure.
I love that. So Melissa says, I think I love you, Sarah. Journaling in phase 1 are your biggest tools in your toolbox. We love Melissa. I love, you know, if you are on this broadcast for the first time, if you're watching and you haven't seen any of the other videos that we've made, just go, you're on our Facebook page here, just go over to the video section. You'll see Melissa. She's talking about blood sugar, diabetes, blood pressure. We have lots of things with Dee, who works in Melissa's clinic, where Dee and I like to talk about food, about veggies, and lots of tips for food. Dee's awesome. She also has a great recipe, a recipe group. Someone down here said that I didn't remember what this book was, but they said, how do we, oh, is that the Dr. Tran book? They must be talking about the Dr. Tran book.
Oh, yes.
So I think you have to buy that at a clinic. I don't think it's on Amazon. Is it on Amazon? I don't think so.
No, you'll have to get it from a clinic, but they should have it. And if not, they can always order it for you. They're readily available from Protein.
Yeah,
they are on
right.
Amazon, but they're like $70 on Amazon. It's something ridiculous. It's like, I think probably $10 to $20 at your clinic. So it's ridiculous what they're going to charge you on Amazon.
Okay, yeah, it's one of the things that, as you know, as a clinic owner, I probably should carry it, and I have a couple of them, but I need to display them and have them out there. So the old book I think might be in a PDF format that you can find online somewhere, but I might be wrong.
Possibly.
Also. So before we wrap up here, I just wanted to say thank you to everybody. Please be sure that you share our broadcast with other people. The greatest thing about Ideal Protein is that it is changing lives. We are teaching you how to live a different lifestyle. I had a gentleman come in yesterday that lost 40 pounds. He had surgery on his knees. He was really hurting, and now he's working out every day with his physical therapist. He has lost this 40 pounds, and I was like, congratulations, that's so awesome. And I was like, you know, what's your biggest takeaway from this? And he goes, the biggest takeaway isn't that I lost weight. The biggest takeaway is the educational process. I will never go back to eating those things. And I might, you know, he loves to go wine tasting, but his indulgences are you know, he's curbed them. He's got them in balance now. And it's so good to see, you know, the changes that can be made for people. And, you know, here's what happens. It doesn't matter how much weight we lose. If we don't change our personal mindset and the way that we think about ourselves and the way that we treat ourselves, we will go back, you know, to those old habits, and we will slowly gain our weight back. So, you know, Sara, just in closing, maybe just a couple of thoughts on not going back to old habits.
It's always easy to slip into old habits. So always challenge yourself to do something different every day. And some people have to write down their bad habits. Maybe it's, you know, vegging out in front of the TV, eating stuff that you shouldn't be eating, those types of things. Write out a list and remind yourself of not doing it, and that, you know, you learned at a certain point during your journey that those things are not conducive to maintaining your weight loss, and that you should consider them indulgences. Don't put that stuff to the wayside. Always think back to your education. And the fantastic thing about Ideal Protein is all those Dr. Wilkinson videos are at your fingertips 24/7, and you can always go back through that whole library of videos you received during phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, and just rewatch them. Sometimes your coach might be able to tell you one thing, but it doesn't resonate. But if you see Dr. Wilkinson, it just hits you like a ton of bricks.
True. I have clients that tell me.
I was going to say another thing is don't cut off your relationship with your coach. Just because you go into phase 4 and you start maintaining after 12 months, it doesn't mean you don't need your coach. That's when you need your coach the most, is because you can make bad habits that you may not even have had before Ideal Protein. And that's where your coach comes into key. They can see it before it even happens if you're journaling. It's phenomenal as how much of an integrated process you need your coach in phase 4.
Absolutely. No, we continue to work with our clients long past, when you hit your goal. And Lisa Shakernoff and I just did another live broadcast earlier this morning, and you can see it here on our page in talking about the challenges of phase one. And one of the things that we were talking about is when you go into maintenance, you're no longer on ideal protein, but it's still okay for you to come into the clinic and do your body comp. We have fancy scales for a reason, so that we can see your body fat, your muscle mass. We want you to maintain. You are our walking billboards, and you're our biggest referral source and advertisement, and we want you to maintain your weight. So just stopping in, like the first 4 weeks, I have everybody stop in once a week. Just do your body comp. Let's look at your food diary. Let's make sure that we've got the macros right. Your carbs, your fats, your proteins are in balance. The second, months 2 and 3, every other week. Then after that, you stop in every month, do your body comp. There is no shame in gaining a couple pounds, people. So just come on in, work it out, keep working with us, because that's what we want you. We want you to be successful. We want you to be happy. And we all, I go up my 3 to 6 pounds. If I hit 6 pounds, I am freaking out. So, just know, know that we experience the same things. We have a couple of comments here. Amanda says, I'm 8 weeks into phase one. If I'm really hungry after eating 2 of my restricted packets and 1 restricted, 4 cups of veggies, 8 ounces of protein, do you recommend a little extra protein or an unrestricted packet? So my comment there, and I'll let you comment in a bit, Sarah, is my comment is if you're in ketosis, you should not be physically hungry. And looking at the mental piece, are you just bored? You're sitting in front of your computer and you want to eat something? Use your unlimited raw vegetable list, celery sticks, cucumber sticks, blah, blah, blah. If you're actually hungry, there's an issue there, and you need to work with your coach on that. So Sarah, what's your advice?
The same thing. Most of the time people will assume that they're hungry when they get a hunger pain. But a lot of times it is, honestly, you're thirsty, or maybe your electrolytes are off. Oh, Melissa said drink water. That's what I was going to say. Drink more water. 2 liters is the minimum in phase one, but you know what? Every person has a different threshold. Maybe your threshold is 3 liters. And maybe if you have some thyroid situation going on, you might need some electrolytes. So if you don't take your electrolytes, you're automatically going to be imbalanced. Just to piggyback off what you said, fill up on those free veggies. 9 times out of 10, it is that you're bored munchy. And if you can just tire your jaw out, eat 50 cucumbers. Who cares? Eat until you can't chew anymore on the cucumbers.
Yeah, good thoughts. And remember that your clinic carries the electrolytes. They're called water enhancers, and they come in 2 flavors, yes, mangosteen and tangerine. Amanda, I would suggest you work really closely with your coach to figure out what that is. And one of the things that I know that Lisa talked about in a coaching video was that sometimes we have burnt out our adrenals, we have no more cortisol left, our hormones are off, we can't sleep. And in those cases, we need to get our adrenal system working again and our hormonal balance. And we do have a product, and I think I never say this correctly. Is it called IntelliNeuro?
Yes, you're right.
And have you prescribed that to clients?
I have. It resets receptors. My sister personally was addicted to sugar, and after talking to scientific support, they suggested IntelliNeuro because she was always munchy, but it wasn't a true hunger. And it was a couple of her receptors, I think, were off and made her crave sugar. After taking it for about 2 months of the recommended dosage, she doesn't have that desire for having something sugary anymore. So I know from personal experience with my own family that it does actually work.
All right, that's awesome. And if you're not sleeping, if you're if you're stressed to the max, it's an important supplement. You should be able to get it at your clinic. And additionally, just doing some things for ourselves where we quiet our minds, we quiet our stress levels, and there's lots of information about that. Okay, so we have just a couple minutes left. Sara, it has been so great talking with you, and just hearing your story and hearing how different life is for you. And it's so great, when we're ill, it's so great to feel well again. And
Yes.
so a lot of times we don't even know that we don't feel well because we've lived in this state for so long. I want you to just give us the ending notes here, and just your last few words of wisdom, and then we'll say goodbye to everybody.
So a couple of important things to remember. Number one, first and foremost, always plan. Always, always plan. Two, haters are motivators. Take negativity, turn it into positivity. And then third, help everybody in the U.S. learn about idle protein. Think of it as like Hands Across America. We're a movement. Get involved, become part of the movement. How cool would it be to be part of something like Hands of America, but against obesity? Phenomenal. So get involved with your clinic and help as many people as you can. Drive them to educational seminars, because some people are just like me. They just don't know until they know.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, everybody, goodbye. It was super fun today. Thank you so much, Sara. Such a pleasure. And I know that Melissa said she's going to be in Seattle for the Super Weekend. Are you?
No, sadly, I will not be. I'm sorry, Melissa, but I will be going to Canada. I will be doing some cooking videos with Chef Fertility, so possibly we'll see how that goes.
Oh, that sounds fun. Okay. All right. Talk to you later. Thanks, everybody. Enjoy the weekend.
Thanks.